Every day, everywhere, things are taken for granted. Reading a newspaper, writing an email, following street signs so you can reach your destination. There's a hidden epidemic going on around all of us. 800 million people in the world lack basic literacy skills. Nearly 1 billion people don't have a basic education. We're nowhere near literacy and learning for all. And for those around us, fighting this silent battle, successfully navigating everyday things is just the beginning. Imagine the challenge of reading the note your child brings home from school, the prescription bottle in your bathroom, trying to get a driver's license, deciphering an electric bill, a bank statement, or the mortgage on your home. Learning starts with literacy. It continues throughout life. Shouldn't everyone have access to knowledge, to learn and grow? It's easy enough to say, learning is a classroom away. But for adults, the dishes, the kids, the 2-hour commute to and from work make learning a distant dream. There just isn't time for the classroom anymore. The right service can change all of this. CellEd delivers basic learning anywhere, anytime, on any phone. Users engage on their own time, moving through courses that teach through voice lessons and SMS exercises. As you learn more and become more skilled, confidence grows, opportunities expand, and you feel empowered in other areas of your life. Knowledge is fundamental to so many things: well-being, good health, understanding your rights, and pursuing the dreams you hold most dear. Mobile phones have become a part of almost everyone's life. The time is now to deliver lifelong learning for all. CellEd. It's a second chance and a new pathway to learning. Let's open the door to the world.
Great. Okay. There we are. Strike two with tech today. So you heard I'm Jessica. I am the CEO and co-founder of CellEd, where we bring essential skills, that's language, literacy, job skills, to anyone with a mobile phone. And we do this because so many of us in this room may or may not realize that there is 90% of the world that lives on less than $25,000 a year. And of those people, most, over 50%, do not have a computer at home or have a smartphone. So a show of hands, how many of you here have a smartphone? How many of you have two? Great. And so that I know who's in the audience, how many of you are developers? Great, we need you. My card is here. How many of you are in UX UI design? Okay. Product side, social workers, fans of Twilio? Great. All right, other? All right. So due to the enormity of the problem, you heard 800 million adults can't read in their first language, 2/3 are women. But more importantly, there are so many more that have experienced both the ill effects of the digital divide and poverty. And access to daily livelihood is very, very challenging. So we thought, well, if we want to meet and reach the hardest to reach, those who are low income, low literate, and don't have access to the internet, why not try to teach them how to read via a basic mobile phone? So this is counterintuitive. So in 2012, we asked that question, because how do you learn to read if you can't read a text? So the power here is audio. So we deliver audio, bite-sized audio lessons and two-way texting, and have a live coach component that allows us to deliver instruction that otherwise would not be available. Less than 5% of adults will ever reach a classroom, and even if they do, most of the content isn't relevant for their actual need. Take Lucia, for example. She was our first learner as part of our randomized control trial. And really, Lucia's story was like many. She had been in Los Angeles over 10 years as an immigrant in from Peru. Kids were back at home, husband back at home, sending money home. So she was working as a nanny, a household manager, and everything for a family in Beverly Hills. She lived 2.5 hours away by bus. And what she found most challenging is she couldn't read in Spanish and she couldn't speak English. So imagine what life was like for her. But with CELED, in that 2 hours on the bus, for example, she could take not only listen and text, but get to learn to read in less than 4 months. And it's something that would have taken 2 years or a lifetime because, again, she doesn't have access to classrooms. And she needed something that was available on her time. We actually tested this as a randomized control trial for a couple of years with a lot of other learners, also not literate in their first language. And what did we find? Over 75% learned to read over 4 months because they had an access to something that was 24/7 and self-directed. But we learned a lot more. We learned that there's a lot of things, a lot of basic skills that adults are lacking and wanting on their terms. So what we found in this case is that we can deliver basic skills training cheaper, faster, and in a fraction of the time because of the power of audio and two-way texting. For example, Sophia, another learner in Texas, her greatest challenge was that she wasn't able to apply for a job. And she lacked customer service English. So in a matter of a couple months, she was able to learn these things, and not only did she get the job, she trains others to do it. So we consider these, both Lucia and Sophia, really the stories we try to live by. We want also developers to pay attention to these learners because often they're not the ones we design for. When looking into EdTech specifically, we find that most people are focused on K-12 and they focus on the college market. You know, that's only 22 million students are in college and 66 are in K through 12. We're talking 90 million adults lack basic literacy in the US. And I'm not talking about the billions worldwide. So given the need, the enormity of the need, how do we begin to deliver what we need to? Well, this has been a struggle of mine for over 20 years because working in the space of digital divide, we find there's so many other divides that need to be crossed. And by and large in the company, most of the projects I've worked with have always been at this intersection. How do we deliver relevant, affordable technologies that are meaningful for the actual user, not what I perceive it to be or the partner, but at the end user. So we do an innovative approach that we consider learner-centered, really talking about the need of the learners and the end user we work with. Mobile first. Adults are busy. Actually sitting at a terminal for any period of time is enormous. Transportation, childcare, you name it. Most people simply do not have time for training and are asking for bite-sized training in the palm of their hand and on demand. And so this brings me to CELED. So this has been the last few years of my life, has been working closely with my team, our partners, and our learners to really figure out what tool would make a difference. And what we found is that we're all about access. Really basic access is the first hurdle. So by offering our service on any mobile phone without internet, on a basic flip phone, you don't have to have data, you don't have to have the internet, that was step one, critically important for reaching the majority of learners. We also learned that the content needed to be very different than what we have. We've been pushing a lot of content that is relevant for traditional classrooms and training in employer areas, but it's not relevant to the actual need of our end users. So we do something that's important. We create a two-way feedback loop through texting and get real-time feedback from every learner on what's working and not. And with that, we can create a design that's both responsive to the need of the learner and scalable to the millions who happen to face that similar need. And so we think that's the magic here. But I thought you would want a demo, but after my tech issues, we can vote yes or no on that. Yeah? All righty. Go for it. Go for 3. All right, so this is where it gets a little bit confusing. We are available by phone, right? You can call a number and you can pick up. We're also available via app and web app, so we're cross-compatible. So I'm showing the example that you would see on your phone or a laptop or access to a computer terminal if you had it. So this is essentially what our learners get to do. They sign up with their phone number. That's critical for us. And then usually we give them a needs assessment up front. We get to know you a little bit. What are your dreams? What do you want out of this experience? And we get to know you a little bit there. Let me see. Oh, great. Anybody want to be a new learner for me? Yes, thank you. Who gets, yeah, thank you. All right, we're going to try. All right, great. So basically, once you do get in, I wouldn't be the ideal learner, clearly. But once you get in, you have an option. You take a needs assessment or survey. These are customized, so it depends on the learner and the programmer doing. But essentially, the goal is that you get right to your learning. So you get to listen right up front.
Great. Now you will choose the course you want to study. I will send you a text with the list of courses available. Look at the text and text me the code of the course you want to study.
So in this case, you can have one or many courses. It depends on what your assessment matches you to. So in this case, I'm doing a demo.
Imagine you're at a printing and shipping store. Let's listen to a boss asking her employee to do something.
Marco, Anthony is barking up the wrong tree here. Can you call him and tell him to redo the boxes he just packed for shipping? And please, take that stack of papers to the recycling bin. It doesn't look good sitting out like that for customers.
This boss clearly doesn't mean that Anthony is barking up an actual tree. What does barking up the wrong tree mean? Is it to follow the right or the wrong choice? Please text me the word right or wrong.
What should I text? All right. How about ring?
Correct. When the boss says,
Anthony is barking up the wrong tree here,
she is actually saying that Anthony has done something incorrectly and she wants someone to fix it. All right, let's move on. Okay, now let's listen to Marco responding to the boss. Ms. Drake, I am uncomfortable calling Anthony because I don't know the details and don't want to confuse him. I am happy to take care of the recycling, though. Marco doesn't want to call Anthony, but he will do what task instead? Look at my text for the options. Please text me the number for the correct answer now.
One.
Well done. We have another problem. Marco does not know which trash bin he needs to use. Let's help him. Marco has a stack of papers he needs to throw away. It should go into the recycle bin. Which one of these bins is the recycle bin? The green bin or the black bin? Text me the color of the correct trash now.
Anyone? Thank you.
That's right. The correct answer is green. Marco needs to use the green bin to recycle the stack of paper. Fantastic! Congratulations on finishing your training course. Great job. Here is your certificate of completion.
So essentially, when you finish, you have your certificate, which can be shared. We've also sent them to learners as proof. So there's a couple of options that our partners give and that we give students. And then they can see their courses, all the courses they've completed, and they can view the certificates for all of them. And this is all available to them again on their mobile phone. We also give help. It's really important that we match our students with a live coach. That's the texting and phone calls that happen periodically with our students. So in this case, you can call, you can contact us by email, but we prefer text. You can tell that we're a text-based company. And then we're talking about the FAQs if needed. At the end of the day, though, we're here to talk about the effects on the learner. What works? It's the 24/7. Again, we have a farm worker up in upstate New York that said it was perfect fit because he can call a few minutes every day before the shift starts. A construction worker here in Sacramento, California. I don't fit my schedule around my English class. It's the English class that fits around my schedule. Really wanting something different than was out there. And then we have a service worker in Texas that was saying, I usually study while I travel to work. We hear that all the time. I like that I didn't have to sit in a classroom. I think the other piece that people tell us all the time is that it's private. So if they weren't comfortable with something they didn't know, this is like the private teacher, live coach in your pocket that they can access to get through the learning hurdles. A lot of it is confidence. But what we're really here to talk about is the power of texting. And the reason we are where we are today was really because of Twilio's APIs. We were only able to offer our service starting in 2012 with our pilot that we did was by using the audio and two-way texting of Twilio. This allowed us to reach basic cell phones, and that was truly the way we could bridge the greatest gaps we have for our learners in the US. And we use specifically a local phone numbers. It's important. Place matters for people. Having a local number, an area, that's one piece of the puzzle. So our partners get their local numbers in order to look like they're representing their constituencies. And that's what the learner also calls in for their course. And that's important because they don't want to think they are incurring any additional costs. Again, our learners are living below that $25,000 US dollars a year. So that's how we believe we're being learner-centered. Two-factor verification comes up for us when we need to verify who's it. This is really for work skills and credentialing. Obviously the audio, which is critical, the sound situations, the dialogues, the instruction, so much of it comes through the audio. The two-way SMS, I already told you the importance of that to get the feedback in real time from our learners, and of course the verbs that empower it all. We go beyond. So with the APIs, we're able to now customize surveys in real time, automated assessment. These are all the things that our partners were asking for, and we're now able to deliver as of March with our new platform and service that we just launched. The reminder text, that's a huge benefit. We can send reminders individually to learners and through group. And then, of course, all of this, the sending and receiving of the critical content and the ability for us to deliver that in real time. The data. So everybody wants to know, how often are your learners on the system? What patterns do you see? How often are they checking in? What are they learning? So we can gather all of that, again, through Twilio. And we have a learning management system and a dashboard available that captures this data for our partners. And coaching through text. This is the piece that most people can't believe because they're used to coaching. If they have it, it's online, right? You're scheduling a time. This can be done by a texting, a live person you can be connected to. It's very powerful and it's very time saving. And that's the critical piece here in terms of our managing our costs. Why are we so much lower cost? Is because our coaches can reach them via text. Okay, so traction, all because of the partners who we've worked with. So since we launched our, essentially our beta in 2014 through paid-for pilots that were offered statewide, we now have reached 10,000 hard-to-reach learners. We have real partners that are paying, which is incredible for us as a social enterprise, and they want to grow, which is most important for us. And they do most of the work for us. They tell the stories, our learners tell the stories, and we're grateful to them for that because without that, I think we wouldn't be learning what's really needed and we wouldn't be seeing what's really effective. There's a lot of growth for CEL Ed. that's happening as well this year. Again, we're audio and two-way texting. You can understand how easy that is for scale purposes. Again, with Twilio local numbers and international numbers and in countries that they operate, we'll be doing a few different projects to expand access to education, basic education. A few of these projects, one that's personally very challenging, and I think a great testament to the power of a cell ed solution and Twilio audio and two-way texting is by basic phone reaching the 130 million girls who have been left behind, those who have been out of school, never been in school, and in many cases don't have an access to a livelihood on their terms. So we'll be working with Discovery to do some of that work in West and East Africa. We'll also be working in some disaster zones because we can modify the content in real time. Those audio lessons that are less than 3 minutes, right? We can change those really quickly. Those rapid response texts, all of that can be tailored to the population quickly, tested quickly, and rolled out at scale quickly. And I think that's really important to mention that in the old days, especially in the field I'm in development, they would do about an 18-month research project in order to deal with the problem in the field. We need to be able to deliver on demand within 30 days a solution for real problems that we see, both disaster in terms of food security, environmental degradation, and others. So that's a note for those who are interested in this space. And then we'll be working in Chile and Mexico to expand a program called Escuela Plus, essentially reaching rural schools that have little to no infrastructure and support and fewer teachers. So we'll be supporting also a little bit now in the high school side. So we did dip into the youth there. Well, the future. So we aim to reach at least 1 million of the hardest reached through these strategic partnerships. And again, really trying to work closely with partners who have struggled to reach the sheer number that they've been trying to, either in classroom or through their own interventions. We are rapidly expanding our course catalog, and this is important because we get feedback. Now I want to learn this and this and this, and so we were really going to try to do that very quickly this year, so people have access to anything that we've been gaining in the field. And then we have to expand our reach across messaging platforms and all the other products I just heard released today at Twilio. So we'll be looking into some of those. Voice recognition, some of these things have always been kind of on the top of mind, and that's where we get into the natural language processing side. We do have a lot of issues with learners. We are working very closely with adults who cannot read in English as well as their native language, and a lot of times we're finding that that's often due to learning challenges. So utilizing some of these other tools will allow us to reach them as well. And we're pretty excited to do that. And then, of course, our mantra is learn and grow with our learners and partners and keep trying to push the envelope of what's possible in terms of access, affordability, and relevance for the majority of the world. And with that, I'm hoping you'll join us in Mobilizing Education for All Adults. And I have some contact information. If you have any questions, please do reach out to me. And I did have that call to action that we really are expanding our team, both on the content side, but definitely on the developer side. We are also love to get the feedback from folks in terms of what they think we can improve on. So anybody who's really wanting to be an active, both volunteer as a coach or even on the tech side. The last thing is now, if you want, as an after hours, this is actually how you would learn English if you were to call on a basic phone. So I showed you our web app version, but if you want to experience what it is to learn English on the go, this is the number you would call in the course code. So if you want to test, try out, and let me know what you think, that would also be a great favor. So I appreciate it. All right, and with that, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.